So, hello students, welcome to Vedantu NEET English. This is Basavaraj Sir, your biology master teacher. I hope everyone is safe and sound and doing extremely well. Now students, we are coming towards the end of the syllabus obviously in the RNA batch, right? All of you are aware of it. So, what is the best time to do ecology right now, right? So students, we will be starting ecology as a unit, and instead of starting off with the organism and population, I decided let's begin with ecosystem because it is a much more higher weightage and ecosystem is much more fun to learn, right? It is very fun to learn. So with that being said, let me know in the comment section right now if my voice is audible to all of you and the presentation, can you see the beautiful presentation behind me is visible to all of you. Quickly let me know in the chat if I am audible and visible, and good afternoon each one of you. Yes. Hello Paul, hello Tanuja, hello Sony, hello Ravindrani, Philo, Divya, Sony, Tejaswini. Welcome to the class. Welcome to the class. Now students, how many of you think ecology is boring? Raise your hands, quickly raise your hands. How many of you think ecology is little boring? I'm like, who will study ecology, sir? Everything is written there. Little bit of boring, but students, it's not. When you connect with your surroundings, when you learn from your surroundings, it becomes much more easier and fun. So with that being said, let's start the class of ecology, and we'll be dividing the entire class into two segments. First segment right now, ecosystem on your board. Second part is going to be ecosystem part 2. Okay, ecosystem part 2. So let's understand what exactly is the meaning of system. Before you understand what is the meaning of ecosystem, can we try to understand what is the meaning of system? What is the meaning of system first? Understand the meaning term system. Understand the term system first of all. How many of you heard about computer system? Raise your hands. How many of you heard about computer system in your life? Computer system. All of you have heard about computer system. How many of you heard about solar system? All of you. Digestive system? All of you. Now, what is common between digestive system, solar system, computer system, and ecosystem? What is that one common thing between all three of them, all four of them? The common thing is very simple. That is, a system is made up of multiple components. A system is made up of multiple components. All the components are working together. I repeat again. In a system, there are multiple components. All the components are working together for a common function. Example, very simple. Computer system, for example. We have a keyboard, we have a mouse, we have a monitor, we have a CPU. Every single component is working together to make the computer work. Similarly, in the case of digestive system, we have buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, large intestine, small intestine, and finally the anus. All of the different components are working together to make the system work. Similarly, when we come to ecosystem, in ecosystem, we have multiple components like biotic components and abiotic components. What is the meaning of biotic? Can anyone tell me in the chat? Can anyone remind me what is the meaning of this biotic components in the chat quickly? So we have biotic components and abiotic components. All the components are interacting among each other. That is an ecosystem. We have Vedantu system here, right? I am teaching botany, zoology by Gopika ma'am. Shreyas sir is teaching the physics. Diksha ma'am is teaching the chemistry. All of us are working together, and we have all of you warriors with us. All the warriors also in our system. All of us are working together for one common function, for you to study and become a doctor. So do all of you have an idea about system now? Yes, all of you have an idea about system. But students, this system, especially the ecosystem, is called as functional. It is called as functional unit of nature. Functional unit of nature. What is the meaning of that? Why am I saying functional unit of nature as ecosystem? Because if there is no ecosystem, there is no nature. The ecosystem makes up the entire nature. Because ecosystem is made up of biotic and abiotic factors. So what is ecosystem, students? Ecosystem is the sum total of. Ecosystem is sum total of all the interactions, all the interactions between biotic and abiotic components, biotic as well as abiotic components. Any doubt in this? Tell me. Any doubt in this? That is, do biotic components interact among each other? Tell me yes or no in the chat quickly. Do biotic components interact? For example, see, I am biotic right now. Tanuja is biotic. Rudranath is biotic. Are we interacting? Yes, we are interacting. In the case of jungle, there is a deer, there is a lion. Lion is eating the deer. Are they interacting? Yes, it is a deadly interaction. It is a deadly interaction, but are they interacting? Yes, they are interacting. So there is a biotic interaction. Mutualism is a biotic interaction, right? Any type of population interaction, commensalism, amensalism, or biotic components are interacting among each other. But also tell me in the chat, do abiotic and biotic also interact? Tell me, do abiotic components like air, water, wind, do we also interact with them? See, I drink water. See, I have a glass here. In the glass, I have water. I am drinking the water. Did I just interact with abiotic component? Did I just interact with the abiotic component? Yes. I am breathing in the air. That is, I am interacting with abiotic component. Plants are able to interact with the soil. So that is the ecosystem. That is the ecosystem. Students, quickly smash that like button if you're watching it recorded or live, if you're understanding the gist of the chapter and how we are approaching the chapter. Very easy till now. Very easy till now, students. That is the meaning of a system and a ecosystem. Now, students, can I tell you some facts now? Can I tell you some facts about ecosystem? Small facts. Facts about ecosystem. Small facts about ecosystem. Small facts about ecosystem. Let's see how many of you know this. How many of you know this? Small. Oh my god, I almost fell down. Small facts about ecosystem. Small facts about ecosystem. Ready? Ready? Okay. Now, how many of you know what is energy? Okay, all of you know energy, sir. Energy is there. Students, in the case of ecosystem, do you think plants are producing the energy? From the plants, energy is going to the consumers. Can it go ulta? Can it go reverse? I'm telling you, in the case of plants, from the producers, energy is given to the consumers. Can the energy always go in unidirectional, or can the energy also go back? Can the energy go back? Tell me. Can the energy go back? No. So always remember, the fact number one is there is always unidirectional. There is always unidirectional flow of energy. Unidirectional flow of energy. Always unidirectional flow of energy. From here, from plants to the consumers. Plants to the consumers, the energy is being transferred. Unidirectional flow of energy. Understand that point. Very important point. Unidirectional flow of energy. Now, students, I told you this plant right here, it is taking nutrients from the, this plant right here is taking nutrients from the soil. This zebra is eating the grass. Is there the transfer of energy? Yes. Is there transfer of matter? Yes. But as soon as the zebra dies, what will happen to the nutrition which is present in the zebra now? Can I tell the nutrition which is present inside the zebra is again going back to the soil? Again going back to the soil. What do you call this? What do you call this? We call this cycling of matter. Cycling of matter between biotic and abiotic components. Between biotic as well as abiotic components. Biotic as well as biotic and abiotic components. Abiotic components. Done. Now, students, obviously I told you already, here there is an interaction between living and non-living. Living and non-living are interacting. There is an interaction. There is an interaction between living as well as non-living. Now, students, tell me, if you look at this diagram, if this is an ecosystem, Do you think the diversity is very high or low? Look at the simple ecosystem. Do you think diversity is very high or low diversity? Remember students, in most of the natural ecosystem, diversity is always high. Diversity is high. High diversity. You will find high diversity in the case of an ecosystem. The last point, which is very important, is that a ecosystem is self-sufficient. That is, it is self-regulating. Self-regulating. Now, what is the meaning of self-regulating? The meaning of self-regulating is that the ecosystem can take care of itself. That is, in this ecosystem, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to add a fish there. You don't have to add food. This particular ecosystem will function on its own without human interference. If you don't interact, it will work on its own. But that is not the true case for your artificial ecosystem, which I'll get to in a few minutes. Okay, friends, first point is what? Unidirectional flow of energy, cycling of matter between biotic and abiotic components, living and non-living are interacting, diversity is very high, and it is self-regulating. Any doubt, quickly tell me. Self-regulating or self-sustaining? Any doubt in this particular paragraph? Or facts about your ecosystem? No doubt, right? Yes. Students, quickly smash that like button because I'm making you notes today. Notes. And where do you get this notes, students? You will find this notes on Telegram channel. That is Basavaraj Sir Biology Telegram channel. You can find all the notes. Okay. Now, students. Now, look at this beautiful diagram behind me. Look at this beautiful image behind me. Can I tell a small bubble here? Or you can take a small lake or a small pond. A small pond can be called as an ecosystem. Tell me yes or no? Yes. What about a massive ocean? Tell me, what about a massive ocean and a massive land? Is this also an ecosystem? Tell me, can the ecosystem vary in size? Can we have a small ecosystem? Can we have a extremely small ecosystem? And can we also have a extremely large ecosystem? Yes or no? So can I tell students, a ecosystem can vary in size. A ecosystem can vary in size. That is, all the way from a small pond, it can lead up to a massive sea or an ocean. It can vary a sea or ocean. That is a variation in the size of a ecosystem. Massive ocean. So size of ecosystem can also vary. Now you might ask me, sir, which is the biggest ecosystem then? Which is the biggest ecosystem? The biggest ecosystem is our entire biosphere. Our entire biosphere is actually a very large ecosystem. Can you see, students? The entire biosphere, that is the global ecosystem. Entire biosphere, that is the living part, is an ecosystem. Now you might ask me, sir, how can an entire biosphere be an ecosystem? Because students, remember, on Earth, on the top of the Earth, that is the above part, do we have Antarctica, where we have snow. And if you come to the middle part, equator, we have a lots of tropical forest. Then we have desert. Then we have extremely rainy seasons. Then we have again snow area. So can I tell the entire biosphere is made up of small local ecosystems? A desert ecosystem, a Antarctica ecosystem, snow ecosystem, a tropical ecosystem. When all of these local ecosystems come together, they make up the entire biosphere. We have the extreme cold climates, tropical forest, desert, tropical, desert, as well as the snow areas. So when all of these are local ecosystems come together. When many local ecosystems come together, they entirely make up the entire biosphere. This is the global ecosystem. Did all of you understand that point? Friends, did all of you understand the point? The biggest ecosystem is the entire biosphere. Understand that. Okay. Now, what are two types of ecosystem now? What are the two types of ecosystem? Now, if you want to broadly classify, some ecosystem is found on land, Some ecosystem is found in water. All of you are part of land ecosystem, right? We are part of land ecosystem. So if you want to broadly classify, the ecosystems, it can be divided into two categories: land and water. Land and water. Do you realize? Land and water. Now you tell me, students, in land ecosystem, what can even come? Land ecosystem, tell me. In land ecosystem, what is coming? We have forest. Can you see the green forest area? Land ecosystem. The deserts is part of your land ecosystem. Grasslands are a part of your land ecosystem. Grasslands, desert, forest, snow area, Arctic regions, all of them are part of your land ecosystem. So if those are part of land ecosystem, what do we have in aquatic ecosystem then? When we come to your aquatic ecosystem, the major part is going to be the water. So if there is water, can I give the example of a pond, river, lake? Pond, river, lake, sea, oceans, wetlands. Can I give an example of something called as estuaries? What is an estuary? Estuary is a place where the fresh water is meeting the salt water. Fresh water of a river is meeting the salt water of a ocean. That is called as an estuary. So your lake, pond, river, ocean, estuaries, all of them are part of your aquatic ecosystem. Clear? Students, don't you think this chapter is so interesting? Don't you think this chapter is so visually pleasing chapter? Right? For example, see, how is the transition? If you look at the land and water ecosystem, under terrestrial we have forest, desert and grasslands where we have a lion and all. When you come to aquatic ecosystem, we have the pond, ocean, we also have the estuaries and everything I told you. Estuaries I also told you. That is the difference between a terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. But tell me in the chat right now, this aquatic and this terrestrial ecosystem, is it man-made or natural? Tell me, is it man-made or natural? Students, is it man-made or is it natural ecosystem? Did we go and plant this plant there? Did we go and add this sand there? Did we go and make this grassland there? Did we go and make this big aquarium? No. Did we go and make this small pond and everything? No. All of this is without human interventions. This terrestrial and aquatic which I am showing you right now, most of them are natural ecosystems. They're what? They're called as natural ecosystems. Okay, they're called as natural ecosystems. Now students, how many of you have aquarium in your house? Tell me, how many of you have garden and aquarium in your house? I have both. So tell me, how many of you have a garden in your house? How many of you have a aquarium in your house? Tell me in the chat quickly. Raise your hands quickly. Raise your hands to tell me. And tell me also which plants you have. Tell me also which plants you have in your aquarium. Quickly tell me. Aquarium. Now students, if you have an aquarium or if you have a garden, or better if you are rich, you will have a field. If you have a large field, okay. In all of this, do we need to clean the motor? Do we need to add the fish ourselves? Do we have to clean the fish tank? Yes. In the garden ecosystem, do we need to pot the plant? Do we need to water the plants? Do we need to add the fertilizer or manure? Yes. If you have a large field, you are a farmer. Farmer is growing the crops. Is he adding pesticide? Yes. Is he adding the herbicide? Yes. Is he adding the fertilizers? Yes. Is he loosening the soil? Yes. So, artificial ecosystem, also called as anthropogenic ecosystem or man-made ecosystem, all the three meaning is same. That is artificial ecosystem. Artificial ecosystem. So can I also call this artificial ecosystem as man-made or human-made? Can I call this artificial ecosystem as human-made? Human-made ecosystem? Yes, it is a human-made ecosystem. Human-made ecosystem. Human-made ecosystem. Human-made ecosystem. Okay, human-made ecosystem. Now students, tell me, compared to your aquarium, Compared to aquarium and ocean, where do you find very high biodiversity? Tell me. Think logical thinking. Where do you find high biodiversity? Tell me. Where do you find high biodiversity? Do you find high biodiversity in your aquarium or in an ocean? Obviously, the ocean has high biodiversity. So, can I tell in the case of artificial ecosystem? Can I tell in the case of artificial ecosystem there is very little diversity? There is very little diversity. Yes, very little diversity. Okay, very little diversity. Now, in the case of your ocean, there's a very large food chain. Very large food chain in the ocean. For example, phytoplankton is eaten by zooplankton. Zooplankton is eaten by a much more crustacean. Crustacean is eaten by a small fish. Small fish eaten by large fish. Large fish eaten by a shark. You have a very large food chain. But what about artificial ecosystem? In artificial ecosystem, do you find a very large food chain or do you find a very small food chain? Think logically. In the aquarium, you have one fish. You're adding fish food. It is eating. That's all. There is no food chain in your ecosystem. Okay. So can I tell very simple food chain. Very simple food chain. Very simple food chain can be seen in the case of your artificial ecosystem. Artificial ecosystem. Now students, what about productivity? What about productivity? Where do you find very high productivity? I'll give you a simple example. Listen. In the wild, there is sugarcane growing. Sugarcane is growing in the wild. And a farmer is growing sugarcane in his field. In a wild area, sugarcane is growing randomly. In a crop field, a farmer is growing sugarcane. Where do you find high productivity now? Where do you find more sugarcane? Obviously the artificial. Obviously the artificial. So can I write very high productivity word? Very high productivity. Very high productivity. Very high productivity. Okay, very high productivity here. Very high productivity. Now, students, in the case of ocean or in a forest, cycling of nutrition will happen very quick. But what about in the case of your aquarium and garden? Do you see cycling of nutrients? Do you see cycling of nutrients? No. Very highly, there will be very little cycling of nutrients, very little cycling of matter. Can I say little cycling of cycling of nutrients? Little cycling of nutrients in the case of artificial ecosystem. So what are the points here we learned here? Human-made ecosystem, little biodiversity, simple food chain, high productivity, and little cycling of nutrients. Very little cycling of nutrients. Any doubt there? Quickly ask me in the chat right now. Any doubt there? Very simple, right? Ecology is all about what you see and learn. There is no rocket science here. Clear? That is the meaning of artificial ecosystem. See again examples: aquarium, crop field, and garden. Aquarium, crop field, and garden. Now quickly in the chat, can anyone tell me what are the other examples of your man-made ecosystem? Any other examples? Tell me in the chat quickly. Any other examples? Zoo, botanical gardens, right? Zoo, botanical gardens are also a type of your man-made ecosystems. Yes, man-made ecosystem. Now, is your house also a man-made ecosystem, students? Tell me, is your house which you stay in right now, where you're listening to the lecture from, wherever you're listening to the lecture from right now, is this your house? Is it also an ecosystem? If yes, is it artificial or man-made? Tell me. Your house. Think logically, all logic in my class. Obviously, in your house, if you look under your bed or chair, you'll find one cockroach. You'll find on the wall there will be one lizard. Corner of room there will be a spider. Right? It'll be there. Right? Corner of room there will be a spider. So can I tell your house also is a type of artificial ecosystem? Because leave little bit of sugar, when ants will come in your house. That also is an ecosystem. Take a bread, keep the bread for a very long time. Fungus will grow there. Ecosystem for the fungus. So your house is also a artificial ecosystem. Okay. Now students, One more question for all of you. One more question for all of you. One more question. Very serious question. Okay, ready? Ready? Between aquarium, crop field, and garden and everything, which one do you think is the largest artificial ecosystem? The largest artificial ecosystem. Which one do you think it is? Largest artificial ecosystem. Largest. Answer is on the board. Answer is on the board. The largest artificial ecosystem. It's right here. The crop fields, students. The crop fields. The crop fields are actually the largest artificial ecosystem. Remember that. Largest artificial ecosystem. We also have the plantations. We have the dams. Dams also, students, can you see whenever we build a dam, entire area changes around it. That also is a artificial ecosystem. So with that being said, students, can we go to the next topic now? Students, can we go to the next topic now, students? That is going to be structure of an ecosystem now. We learned, what did we learn till now? We learned about what is an ecosystem. We learned facts about ecosystem. We learned there is something called as artificial and man-made. We learned something called as terrestrial and aquatic. Any doubt till now? Any doubt till now? Quickly in the chat. Any doubt till now? No doubt? No doubt? Amazing. Amazing. Now, students, I'll teach you something called as structure of an ecosystem now. Structure of an ecosystem. For example, here we have something called as structure of an ecosystem. A structure of an ecosystem, in any ecosystem, almost all except hydrothermal ecosystem, every ecosystem input will always be solar energy. Tell me yes or no. Except the geothermal ecosystem, every other ecosystem will always have solar energy as an energy source. We'll have inorganic matter also entering ecosystem. Yes. Then we have something called as components of ecosystem, which I'll be telling you right now. And finally, we have something called as energy loss and degradation is also happening. That is the output. That is the output. So when energy is coming in, someone has to utilize the energy. Yes. As the energy is going out, it is used up energy. It has to go somewhere else also. So between this energy input and energy output, in the middle we have something called as the components of ecosystem. We have something called as components of ecosystem. Components. I think I've already mentioned this. The two major components of ecosystem. The two major components of ecosystem is nothing but abiotic as well as biotic factors, biotic components. Abiotic as well as biotic components. Now, under abiotic components, students, do we have something called as the inorganic nutrients? Do we have something called as inorganic nutrients? Inorganic nutrients are important. For example, sodium, potassium, manganese, nitrogen, all of them are very important for a particular component to work. Yes, inorganic components. Do we also have organic matter? We have organic matter. Organic matter is also there. Organic matter is also there. Do we also have something called as the soil? Do we need soil? Yes, we need soil. Yes, we need soil. We need soil. Very important. Without soil, you cannot work. Now, students, for a particular abiotic factors, do we need air, water, temperature, and gases? Do we need air, water, temperature, and gases? Do we need all of them? Yes, we need all of them. Air, water, temperature, and gases are a must. Without them, a particular components, a particular system cannot work. Students, do mountains and slope also play a role in your ecosystem? Yes. Have you noticed whenever there is a mountain or slopes, if this is a mountain and if the wind is coming from this side, right, on this side of the mountain, On this side of the mountain, do you see much more higher vegetation? Because all the water is coming here, precipitation is happening here, less precipitation here, yes, very less here. So we have small herbs here, small herbs, yes. So mountainous slopes can also play a function, yes. So what do you call them now? You need to understand is that this organic and inorganic matter is called as adaptive factors. This is called as climatic. This mountain slope is basically the topography. They are the topography or topographic. They're going to be topographic in nature, topographic. Now, what about your biotic components? Tell me, in biotic components, what do we have? Under biotic components, we have three types again. Three types. Under biotic components, do we have something called as producers? Tell me the example of producers, students. Tell me the example of producers now. Producers. Do we have something called as consumers? Yes, we have something called as consumers. Do we have something called as decomposers? Do we have something called as decomposers also? Decomposers. We have something called as decomposers. So these are all of them are basically the components of an ecosystem. We have the abiotic, we have biotic. Under abiotic, we have adaptive, climatic, and topographic. Soil, nutrients, organic matter, the soil, porosity, and everything. We have air, water, temperature, and gases, mountains and slopes in topographic. Then in the case of biotic, we have the producers, consumers, and decomposers. All of them play a very vital role. Every one of them play a vital role in the components of a ecosystem. Any doubt you quickly ask me. I'll move aside so all of you can write also. I'll move aside so all of you can write very well. It'll be easy for you to write down. Done? Or take a screenshot. Don't worry, entire notes will be given. For example, producers of what? Producers are the organisms which produce their own energy. Example is green plants and algae. Examples are green plants and algae. Consumers are your deer, rabbit, deer. All of us are consumers. Organisms which get their food energy from the living plants. Yes, they're called as heterotrophs. We have decomposers. Decomposers are the ones which completely use the dead and decaying matter and they derive their nutrition. We also call them saprotrophs, bacteria, fungi, and earthworms. Now, students, I want you to understand something called as physical structure of an ecosystem. Physical structure, or I can broadly call it as structure of an ecosystem. Structure of an ecosystem. There are two main parameters, first of all. The first parameter for a particular ecosystem is going to be species composition. That is, how many number of species are there, how many plants are there, how many animals are there. They play a very vital role in the case of your ecosystem. Apart from the species composition, there is something called as stratification. What is the stratification of students? Stratification is very simple. Stratification is actually vertical distribution. What is stratification, students? Vertical distribution of different plant species. Vertical distribution of different plant species or different species. If you just take species is fine. Of different species. Vertical distribution of different species. Occupying different levels. Occupying different levels. For example, understand. In a typical plant, in a typical typical tropical forest, we will in the lower side, if this is the soil, here we have the soil. Okay. In the lowermost, do we find some small hubs? Do we find a small hubs? Yes, sir. We find small hubs. Then what do we find? Do we find a small shrubs now? Yes, we find small shrubs. Then we have large trees. Is this vertical distribution? Tell me, is this a vertical distribution of different plant species? Vertical distribution of different plant species occupying different levels. First level, second level, and third level. Different levels. Vertical distribution of species, that is called as stratification. For example, let's go finish species composition. Identification and listing out plants and animals in an ecosystem. That is basically telling how many zebra we have, how many lion we have, how many Vinca rosa we have, how many of them we have Mangifera indica. Understanding? So that is called as species composition. Okay, based on geography and climate, different from one another. So species composition will vary. For example, tell me, do we find pigments in water? No. Species composition of pigments in water will obviously be zero in ocean, right? Do we find penguins in the grasslands? No. In case of your grasslands, penguin population will be zero, right? Similarly, so this is called as based on the area, based on the geographical location, species composition will change. Is that point clear to all of you? Yes. Is that point clear? Clear, right? Based on which species composition, where do you find it? Now, how many of you in school, do you remember they used to make you stand height wise? Do you remember in school they used to make you stand height wise? Do you remember? In school, short will be front, single arm distance, tall will be in the back. In the morning assembly, you will stand. Morning assembly, all of you will stand. Morning assembly, all of you will stand with one arm distance, one after one another, right? That is nothing but stratification. Based on the based on the height, you are divided, right? Different levels are there. That is called stratification. For example, look at this. This is a particular forest. Beautiful forest. On the lower, what do we have? Grass and herbs. In the middle, we have shrubs. In the top, we have the trees with very high canopy. This is called as the stratification. That is vertical distribution of species at different levels. Vertical distribution of species. All of you understood? Vertical distribution of species. Yes. Now, if that is understood, can we go to the next concept now? The next concept is very simple. That is going to be called function. Now, students, tell me in the chat, what is the definition of ecosystem? What was the definition of ecosystem? Tell me quickly in the chat. What was the definition of ecosystem? We learned that ecosystem is the functional unit of nature. It is something called as functional unit of nature. So a particular ecosystem should have some function, right? A particular ecosystem should have some function. What is the function of an ecosystem? Tell me now. What is the function of an ecosystem? What is the function of an ecosystem now? Function of an ecosystem. Anyone? What is the function of an ecosystem? We told it is a functional unit of nature. But what is the actual function? Understand. What is the function of a ecosystem? Functions. Understand the functions now. The first one is called as productivity. The second one is called as decomposition. Decomposition. Second one is called as decomposition. Third one is called as energy flow. Energy flow is happening. The fourth one and the fifth one, two more, tell me. Two more functions are there. Energy flow, then there is food chain. Food chain and food web. Food web. There is something called as mineral cycling. Mineral cycling. Now tell me, all of you in the chat, how much is your pocket money? Tell me in the chat, how much is your pocket money? Tell me, don't be shy. Tell me what is your pocket money? Pocket money you get in the house. 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 100 rupees, 500, 1000 rupees. Tell me your pocket money in the chat. How much is your pocket money you get? For example, simply I'm telling you, Rudranath is getting pocket money every month. Let's say 1000 rupees. He is getting every single month 1000 rupees pocket money is getting. Okay, 1000 rupees Rudranath. Parents are giving me pocket money. No pocket money, yes, sad. Okay, Rudranath is getting 1000 rupees pocket money every month. He is getting some money. He's getting. Okay, every month he is getting 1000 rupees. Now this money, did it come from the tree, money plant? No. Where did the money come from? The parents had to work. So your parents are working and they are getting the money. That is called as productivity. Productivity. Chitra was so smart, okay? Chitra is like 100 rupees. Chitra was like 100 rupees. Second message per day. Look at that. First Chitra was like 100 rupees I get, sir. Then second, she's like, psych, per day I get 100 rupees. Nice. Okay. So obviously they have to work. Parents have to work, right? Parents have to work. So they will get the money. So they'll get, that's called productivity. Now what do you do with the money? Blast. Use the money everywhere. Take the money, go to McDonald's, Burger King, eat a burger, pizza. Take your friends out for a movie, right? You will do all sort of possible things with that pocket money. Some of you will save also. Good people. Some of you are smart who will save the money, right? So when you're using the money, can I call that decomposition? Can I call it decomposition? Yes, decomposition. Now, sometimes what happens is you give the money to your friend also. Papa, the friend is in need. The friend is in very need. Do you give the money also? Yes, to give the money. Yes, you give the money. But sometimes what happens is, have you noticed this in the house? It used to happen in my house also. You will never get money directly from the dad. From the dad, money used to go to mother. From the dad, money used to go to mother. From mother, it used to come to me. From me, it goes to my sister. That is called as energy flow. Right? Then we have food chain and food web, that is you giving to your friends. Then we have mineral cycling. What is mineral cycling? You are saving some money and you are giving back to your parents. That is, your parents will give you some money. You will save the money every single day. When their birthday comes, from that money which they have given you, you will buy them a small cake. You will buy them a small gift. For your dad, you will buy one pen and you will give them back. That is called as mineral cycling. Did all of you understand? This is called as the functions of your ecosystem. Productivity, decomposition, energy flow, food chain and food web, and mineral cycling. Understood? Yes. That is called as your functions of ecosystem. Now students, in today's class, we will be focusing only on the productivity. In the next class, that is tomorrow's class, not tomorrow, I think this week only, next week we'll be doing decomposition, energy flow, food chain. Mineral cycling removed from your syllabus. All of you know, right? Mineral cycling is removed from your syllabus. Phosphorus cycle, all that cycles have been removed. So next class we'll be doing all these three. Today we'll be doing productivity. Now students, can I explain you all of this with a simple example? One more example. With the example given in your NCERT, a small story, you want to listen? A small story which is given in your NCERT only. Okay, let's understand that story which is given in NCERT. For example, let's take a simple ecosystem. Let's take a aquatic ecosystem. Tell me, in aquatic ecosystem, do we have water or do we have more water or do we have more land? Simple question. Tell. In an aquatic ecosystem, do we have more water or do we have more land? Obviously, in an aquatic ecosystem, we have a lot of water, right? We have a lot of water in a aquatic ecosystem. This is an aquatic ecosystem now. Can you see? This is an aquatic ecosystem we have. Understand the story, very important all of you. This is an aquatic ecosystem. In this aquatic ecosystem, students, here we have a bright sun. Okay, we have a bright sun here. We have nice air on top. Nice air breeze is there. Air. Okay, air is there. In the bottom of the aquatic ecosystem, we have a soil also. We have soil at the bottom of ecosystem. Okay, we have soil. Now, students, tell me, this sunlight, this air, this water, and this soil, are they part of biotic or abiotic? Are they part of biotic or abiotic? Simple question. Are they part of biotic or abiotic? Sunlight, air, water, and soil, everything is abiotic in nature. All of them are abiotic in nature. Now, obviously, students, if this is the aquatic ecosystem, do we have fishes? Yes, sir, we have fishes. Yes, sir, we have a lot of fishes here. We have fishes. Students, in an aquatic ecosystem, do you also find a small microscopic organisms called as phytoplanktons? Yes. Do you find small microscopic organisms called as phytoplanktons? Okay. Phytoplanktons. Do you find phytoplanktons? Yes, we find a lot of phytoplanktons. Now, in this aquatic ecosystem, do you also find a small algae? Do you find aquatic algae? Yes, we find algae also. Do you also find certain submerged plants? In an aquatic ecosystem, do you also find certain submerged plants? Yes, we find certain submerged plants. Okay, we find submerged plants. Nice. Now tell me, students, this phytoplankton can be eaten by one more organism. What do you call that? These phytoplanktons can be eaten. By an organism called as zooplankton. Yes. Can be eaten by a zooplankton. Yes, can be eaten by a zooplankton. Okay. Can be eaten by a zooplankton. Now, students, tell me, if this particular fish dies, will this fish sink to the bottom? Yes, the fish will sink to the bottom. When the fish is sinking to the bottom, will the fish get decomposed? Yes, it will get decomposed. And decomposition done by what? We have decomposers here. Let's take the example directly. Decomposers like your bacteria. We have decomposers like your bacteria here, and also certain protozoans. So what do we learn, students? What do we learn from this entire story? An ecosystem is made up of biotic factors, abiotic factors. Yes, biotic, abiotic. Biotic, we have the zooplanktons, phytoplanktons, algae, fishes. Abiotic, we have soil, water, air, and sunlight. And I told you, there is always productivity. Do we have productivity here happening? Yes. Algae, submerged plants, phytoplanktons are able to do photosynthesis and they are producing energy. Do we have decomposition happening? Yes. Once the fish dies or the plant dies, there is bacteria to decompose it. Is there energy flow? Yes, there is energy flow. What is energy flow here? The phytoplankton is eaten by zooplankton. That is, the energy flow is happening. Yes, energy flow is happening. Is there food chain and food web? Yes, there is food chain. The phytoplankton will be eaten by zooplankton, zooplankton will be eaten by a small fish by large fish by one more bigger fish. Do we have mineral cycling? Yes, we have mineral cycling. Once this algae dies or this plant dies, minerals are again going back to the soil. This fish is dying, minerals are going back to the soil. From the soil, again, the plant is taking the minerals. Yes. Plant is taking the minerals. This is called as what? This is called as your mineral cycling. Mineral cycling. This example is also given you NCERT. Done. All of you understood the concept of the different functions now. Don't by heart all this. Understand all this. Don't by heart. Okay. This is called as functions. This is called as functions of an ecosystem. Now, students, with that being said, can we come to the first function of an ecosystem? That is called as productivity now. Productivity. The first function is called as productivity. Productivity. Okay. Productivity. Now, students, remember this, students, you need to understand there are two types of productivity actually. There is something called as primary productivity. Primary productivity. And there is something called as secondary productivity. Primary as well as secondary productivity. Very important to understand. I'll tell you that in course time, I'll tell you what is the difference, but understand there are two types of productivity. Primary productivity is done by plants, or can I say producers. Secondary productivity is done by mostly by animals, or I can say consumers. Okay, animals or consumers. But before you understand primary productivity and secondary productivity, there is one definition which all of you need to understand. That is the meaning of primary production. Understand this. What is the meaning of primary production? What is the meaning of primary production? Understand what is the meaning of primary production first. Very simple. Understand. What is the meaning of primary production? That is amount of biomass or organic matter produced by the per unit time. That is amount of biomass. Now, what is this biomass? Biomass is nothing but the living part of yourself. If you remove all the water from your body, you're left with biomass. Biomass or the organic matter. Organic matter produced per unit area. Per unit area over a period of time. Over a period of time. Over a period of time. Period of time by photosynthesis. By photosynthesis in plants. Understand the entire definition. Understand the entire definition. That is amount of biomass or organic matter. That is plants are able to produce glucose. Plants are producing glucose, right? Plants are able to produce the photosynthate, the food which plants produce. That is biomass here. The amount of biomass or organic matter produced by per unit area over a period of time. How much of time? By photosynthesis in plant is called as primary production. Is called as primary production. And this primary production can be scaled or measured in two ways. It can be primary production can be measured in two different ways. One is by weight, other one is by energy. It can be measured in terms of weight or in terms of energy. When we measure it in terms of weight, it is nothing but this. Unit is very important. Grams per meter square. But we measure it in terms of energy. it is going to be kilocalories per meter square. That is called as primary production. That is called as primary production. So that if that is primary production, what is the meaning of productivity then? If this is primary production, if this is called as primary production, what is the meaning of primary productivity? What is the meaning of primary productivity? Productivity is nothing but rate of formation. It is the rate of formation. Now tell me, in your house, salary of your parents, will it come once a year? No. Once a month? Many times. Daily in few cases. Monthly in some cases. I told you productivity is the salary coming to your house. Right? But at what time it is coming? How much of time it is taking, or rate? How much it is coming? The rate of production is called productivity. That is rate of biomass production. Rate of biomass or organic matter. Rate of biomass or organic matter that is produced is called as productivity. It is called as productivity. The rate, that is very important here. The rate of biomass or organic matter. Rate of biomass or organic matter produced is called as productivity. Again, it can be expressed in two different ways. Weight again. Per year, can you see? Yearly, how much is produced? Or energy again. Kilocalories per meter square per year. How much is produced? So when you mention the time or the rate, how much is happening, it is called as productivity. Understood? Now, what is primary production? Production of organic matter biomass by photosynthesis per unit area over a period of time is called as primary production. Primary productivity, amount of biomass per unit area over a period of time. You should write here rate. Rate also should come here. What is secondary productivity? Secondary productivity is the rate of formation of new organic matter by secondary consumer. That is here. By consumers of the animals. Now, students understand, plant is preparing some food. Animal is coming and eating that food. And any organic matter now prepared by that animal is called a secondary productivity. Very simple. We have a grass here. We have a particular grass growing here. Okay, tree here. Or we have a little grass. A deer is coming and eating the grass. Deer. Now, whatever biomass is prepared by the deer is called as secondary productivity. Understood? And secondary productivity is available for the lion now. Now, a lion will come and eat the deer. So, the lion is consuming what? The lion is consuming the secondary productivity. Understood? Now, students, primary productivity can be broadly classified into two categories. Two separate categories. One is called as your gross, other one is called as net. Okay. I'll understand. Very simple to understand. Let's take Aparna for example. Okay. Aparna, after finishing her MBBS, her first salary, reasonable salary, I'll tell you, her first salary is around, let's say, 50,000. Our first salary is 50,000. Okay. First salary of Aparna is 50,000. Now tell me, when all of you get the first salary, what will you do with the first salary? Will you spend entire salary on yourself? Majja full, you'll go buy whatever you want, dresses, you'll go buy one mobile phone, everything you'll do. But do you also buy something for your parents? For example, out of 50,000, 10,000 you're giving, 10,000 you're giving to your parents. You're buying a saree for your mom or for your dad, you're buying him a clothes, or 10,000 is lost. 10,000 is lost. Now you wanted to buy a new phone for yourself for a very long time. You wanted to buy a phone for yourself for a very long time because you wanted a good phone. So for example, 20,000 you spend on phone. Very less, but still 20,000, very big amount, first phone from your money, right? So 20,000 you're spending for your phone. Now imagine you're staying away from your house. Imagine you're staying away from your house. Do you also have rent and everything? Rent will be there. Rent, you have to pay the rent. For example, 10,000 is the rent. Okay. Now, obviously the food which you have to eat. Imagine you're spending 5,000 on the food. Tell me, from the 50,000 salary which you got in the first month, you're spending 10,000 for your parents, 20,000 for your phone you're buying, 10,000 for rent, 5,000 is going for the food. How much you're left with? Simple maths, tell me. 20, 30, 45. 45. So 45,000 is gone. In your hand, how much is left now? 5,000 is left in your hand now. 5,000 is left in your hand. Right? 5,000 is left in your hand now. The 50,000 which you got right now is called as your gross primary productivity. That is, amount of the organic matter which you got after spending whatever is necessary, whatever you left with, right, which you can save, or you can save this 5,000 rupees, or you can do anything with this 5,000 rupees. That is called as net primary productivity. For example, in the case of plants, a plant is producing 50,000 kilojoules, 50,000 kilojoules of energy. Out of this 50,000 kilojoules of energy, plants is using 45,000. Plants is using 45,000 kilojoules on it itself. That is, plant needs respiration. Plant has to grow. Plant is using whatever the 5,000 kilojoules, which is left, that becomes net. That a plant can give it to someone else. That is, gross is what? Gross primary productivity is the rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis. How much a plant is producing at one go. What is net then? Net is nothing but plant use some amount of GPP, right? All of you also used your salary. So GPP, gross primary productivity, minus R. R is nothing but respiration loss. Respiration loss. That is, a plant has to do photosynthesis, a plant has to do glycolysis, Krebs cycle. Plant has its own needs, plant has to grow. Yes, plant has to grow. GPP minus R, we get the NPP, net primary productivity. All of you, how much you're left in your hand, right? Money which you use in your hand, that becomes net primary productivity now. Net primary productivity. All of you understood the concept? It is, productivity is the net primary productivity is the available organic matter for the consumers. It is available for the consumer. This NPP will be taken up by the deer now. A deer will come and eat the NPP. Okay? Deer will come and eat the NPP, net primary productivity. Understood, all of you? Understood? Yes. Done? Now students, can we end the class with some questions now? Today that's all. I don't want to overburden you with a lot of information. Let's end the class with some questions now, shall we? Some questions here and there. In the next class, I'll teach you what is something called as your decomposition. Multiple steps in decomposition. Next class, I'll teach you something called as energy flow. I will teach something called as ecological pyramids. 3 topics, next class, chapter is over. 3 topics, next class, the chapter itself is over. Done. Tell me, is ecology so interesting, right? Ecology is so simple and so interesting. Ecology, it's very relatable. That is the beauty of ecology. Okay, that is the beauty of ecology. Now students, let's do some question now. All of these questions are NEET PYQs, or they've been asked somewhere here and there. Okay, see this question now. Net primary productivity is gross primary productivity minus what? Minus what? NPP is the gross productivity minus R. What is R now? Tell me, students. R was what? R was, all of you remember, GPP minus R gave us the NPP. NPP. What is the GPP? Ecological pyramids in the next class. Okay. This R was nothing but respiratory loss. That is that which consumed by the producers, right? Producer is the plant. Producer is the plant. So plant is consuming it. Metabolism. Understood, all of you? Simple question. Next question you see. In general, the biomass in an ecosystem will be greatest at which trophic level? Which trophic level? Tell me. Which trophic level will have the highest biomass? Tell me. Highest biomass. Primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, or producers? Producers will have the highest biomass. Now students, before we go ahead, can I teach you one more concept here? Here I told you NPP. Here we spoke about NPP, right? Here we spoke about NPP. Now can you tell me, how much do you think is the NPP? How much do you think is the NPP of the entire globe? Tell me. Annual global NPP. Annual global NPP of the biosphere. Annual NPP of the biosphere. Annual NPP of the biosphere. Entire biosphere should have some NPP, right? Plant is producing something, every single plant is producing. The annual NPP, students, the annual NPP is around your 170 billion tons. 170 billion tons. 170 billion tons is the annual NPP. 170 billion tons. Out of this 170 billion tons, how much do you think will be in aquatic? Which shall tell me? Earth is covered by, our entire Earth is covered by 70% water, right? Earth is covered by 70% water. So technically, which one do you think should be higher? Tell me, this is divided into 55 and 115. 55 and 115. Okay. 115. Which one do you think should have higher? Which one do you think will be for water and will be for terrestrial, which will be for aquatic ecosystem? Simple guess. Use logic also, right? Out of the 115 and 55, which one do you think will be water or aquatic? Which one do you think will be terrestrial? Should be terrestrial. Remember, 70% of the land is covered by water. Which one will be for terrestrial? Which will be for water? Let me tell you. This 55% lower one is actually the aquatic. This 115 tons, billion tons is for land or terrestrial. Land or terrestrial. Now you might ask me, sir, you might ask me, why, sir, aquatic, even though Earth is covered by 70% water, why is the NPP of aquatic very less? You might ask me, sir. Answer is very simple. Even though our Earth might be covered by water everywhere, do we have more plants on water, or do we have more plants on the land? Tell me, where do you think the primary production will have come higher? Primary production is by plants mostly, right? So if plants are obviously more on land, the NPP of land will be higher. NPP of the land will be higher. Remember that point, all of you. Remember that point. NPP of land will be always higher compared to the water. Clear? Clear? Yes or no? Check quickly. Clear, right? That is the beauty of it. So land is more important. Save land, save soil. Okay. Next question you see. Next question. Consider the following two statements. The annual net primary productivity of whole biosphere is approximately 170 billion tons derived of organic matter. Majority of this is contributed by ocean as they occupy the largest area. What is the answer now? Tell me. What is the answer? Both statements are correct. One and both are and two explains the one. One and two are correct, but two does not explain one. One is correct, two is wrong. One is incorrect, two is correct. I just now told you, students, this is correct. But did we just learn that majority of the contribution is by oceans? No. Majority of the contribution is by land. So second statement becomes wrong. So statement number 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect. 2 is incorrect. Next question is see. What is the incorrect about ecosystem? Which is incorrect about ecosystem now? It can vary from size of a pond, large sea, ocean, yes. It may be anthropogenic. Anthropogenic means what? Anthropogenic means man-made. Man-made. It may be temporary or permanent, yes. Imagine if the pond completely dries off. Pond will completely dry. So ecosystem is lost temporarily. Yes. It involves flow of energy but not cycling of nutrients. No, this is a wrong statement because we can see cycling of nutrients, right? Do we see cycling of nutrients? Yes, we see cycling of nutrients. In an ecosystem, is there cycling of nutrients? Yes. But statement number 4 is saying, but not cycling of nutrients. So obviously the wrong statement. Obviously the incorrect statement. Incorrect statement. Okay, understood all of you? Next question. In the equation, GPP minus R is equal to NPP. GPP is gross productivity, NPP is net productivity. What is R here? What is R? What is R? R is going to be respiratory loss, correct? Respiratory loss, easy question. Next question you see. The amount of biomass or organic matter produced per unit area over a period of time by plants during photosynthesis is called as. It is called as. Obviously, it cannot be rate. If it is rate, then it will be productivity, primary productivity. Then it will be primary productivity. But is the rate given here? No, rate is not given here. What will it be? It's going to be primary production. It's going to be primary production. Primary production. Okay, primary production. And students, this is a NEET PYQ. I'm not giving you easy questions. And students, remember, 50% of students could not answer this question. They could not answer this question at all. Okay, could not answer this question. It's primary production. Amount of biomass or organic matter by plants, photosynthesis. So primary production. So primary production. Now, in relation to gross primary productivity and net primary productivity of an ecosystem, which of the following statement is correct? Which is correct here? Which is going to be correct? Gross primary productivity is always more than net. Gross and net are one and the same. There is no relationship between gross and net. Gross is always lesser than the net productivity. You always know your salary when is higher. Higher was 5,000 and 5,000 was gross. So always gross is always higher compared to the net. Gross is always higher. Yes. Next question. Which ecosystem has the maximum biomass? Which ecosystem has the maximum biomass? This is the homework question. This is the homework question. Okay. All of you do this homework question and come. All of you do this homework question and come. And I'll see you in the next class. Friends, that was the entire class today. So I've given you less questions. Obviously, you have to solve more questions. The more questions you solve, the better you will get. The better you will get. Okay. Homework question in the comment section, not here. Homework question in the comments, not here. I will not see now. I will not see. I'm not closing my eyes. I will not see now. Homework question in the comments. So let me know the answer to the homework question in the comment section, and also let me know how was the ecosystem class. Such a smooth class, right? It was such a smooth like butter. Such a smooth class it went away. I didn't even realize we spent almost 1.5 hours. So smooth the class went and I loved it. So that is the beauty of ecology. Ecology is a topic where you can just keep on talking. I never get tired. You should also not ever get tired from listening. Okay. So let me know in the comment section how was ecology class. I will check the homework question. I will check the homework question also. So with that being said, thank you so much, students. Have a great day ahead, and bye bye. Bye bye, all of you. Bye bye.